I am here with another candidate for the SU Officer Elections 2026. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Mags or Maggie, and I'm running for Liberation Activities Officer. I'm a third year politics student, so I'm writing my dissertation as well. So, yeah.
So, can you tell me what is the single most important experience that you've had at Sheffield that made you want to run for this role?
I would say that the most important experience for me has been joining Drag Society and getting involved in the university as a whole. It gave me the confidence to be on stage and perform, but also just to have a voice, and that's why I put myself forward for this role.
And if you could only achieve one thing in the first, let's say, 100 days of you being in the role, what is one thing that you would prioritise, and why would that be a priority for you?
I think one thing that I would prioritise is access to art. I would like to, make art supplies cheaper for students and have a student collaborative art exhibit, just because I think art is so valuable for students' well-being, to take them away from the pressures of the academic side of university.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned funding for arts. How do we ensure that funding for some of those more niche societies remains, rather than all of the spotlight sort of going on those bigger ones, let's say sports, for example?
Yeah, I think, so I'm part of very small societies, and luckily Drag Society has seen a big increase in people, but I think part of that has been due to the SU pushing our socials and performances. So it is just small things like advertising the smaller societies, perhaps having a spotlight on a different society each week would be good.
And with increased attacks on minority communities, what things would you put in place to help protect or maybe give a safe space to those communities? Don't worry about the pen, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a really difficult time. It's very scary, especially for immigrants and international students. There's changing guidance, which means a lot of students feeling insecure. The uni just needs to make fully clear that we do support and care for our international and immigrant students. Making that support that we do have much easier to get to, and just overall being a supportive place.
And combining the liberation side and the activity side of the role, often we see societies post about inclusions, but how do we ensure that inclusivity and inclusion is a policy change and not just a social media post once a week?
We need to see the actual funding, basically. We need to have actual campaigns put in place, not just a poster up. I want to really make sure that students are engaging with the uni, because that's the most valuable thing. But it's seeing that money and seeing where it's going. So transparency is major.
And often with societies, we see that most socials are in the evenings, and that's not as accessible for commuters and carers as it is for those who are living in and around the city. What's one way that we can combat this and help change that?
We need to definitely place a big focus on sober socials and daytime socials. Recently, me and AltSoc, I'm part of the AltSoc committee, we organised a trip to Red Brick, and it's things like that where we connect with the city of Sheffield, go to local events that really highlights our connection to the city as a whole, and it's more inclusive of everyone.
Perfect. And can you talk me through a bit about what you've drawn on your shield today?
So this is my shield. My favourite place, it's a bit cringe, but I've just drawn my friends. Wherever my friends are, that is my favourite place. The best SU food is Bar One chips. I've definitely spent the most money on Bar One chips out of all the food in the SU.
Do you get them loaded, or are you just a plain
Literally
chip?
just plain. Just love it. My campaign symbols, my pink star, you can see it on my hat as well. I'll be giving out these woke badges to everyone. And a speech bubble, because I like talking to people. I'll be talking to everyone about what they want from the SU. And favourite hobby, well, my drawings don't reflect it. It is art, and I love just creating for the sake of creating. So yeah.
And can you look at your camera here for me, please? And can you give me 3 words as to why people should trust you with their vote in this election?
Yeah. My 3 words would be trust. My 3 words for trusting me would be that I'm woke, I love community, and I love talking. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you.
Right, we've got another candidate for the upcoming SC officers elections. Could you introduce yourself?
Yep, hi, my name's Elliot, he, him, and I'm running for the Liberation Activities Officer role.
So with late night events being the sort of major socials, how do you make sure that societies are more inclusive and for, commuters or carers?
Yeah, so I see a lot of late night events. I work down in Foundry, and I think, I'm throwing pens everywhere. I think we can really help with like the public transport costs, for example. So the minibus already does a lot, but helping people with funding for like getting the tram or the bus, the tram costs have gone up so much since I started university. So I think that would be a really helpful way of doing that.
And like you mentioned, cost of living in general is quite a big sort of topic at the minute. How do you ensure that niche societies, smaller societies, how do you ensure they get the funding that they need to thrive?
I think the finance system for societies at the moment is broken, quite frankly. I've seen places of like finance blaming students for things, and I think that really needs to change to help out like small societies, as you said. Part of my campaign, I really want to focus on improving the training and the collaboration opportunities. I think if smaller societies can partner with bigger societies and like learn from their committees, that would be really helpful. So yeah, increasing collaboration is probably the main way.
And like we talked, there's smaller societies, but there's also so many minority groups coming into the SU, being part of the community. How would you ensure their sort of well-being? How would you ensure that they're being represented equally?
So one of the big parts of my campaign is called Make Liberation Visible. I want to, so when I was a fresher, I was new, I was scared, I didn't feel comfortable going up to like LGBT society, for example. I want to bring all that liberation information that the SU offers to freshers in their intro week lectures. So all of those groups, they get all that information from the start. They know what the difference is between like the Liberation Committee, the societies, all those different tools. So it's a lot less intimidating as a new person to it.
And I guess away from the intro lectures, do you have any ideas for programs you want to set or events you want to do to have that collaborative feeling?
Yeah, one program I want to set up is to support people who like part-time work. It's 40% of students, I'm one of them. I think that's a massive group that's not necessarily represented hugely at the SU at the moment, so I want to set up a new group for them, help them with, as well as like fun socials, there'll be campaigning events and events run by the Careers Service, for example. I think that's my major sort of new group that I want to set up essentially. And then, as I said, just making that information, not just for freshers, for everyone, more easy to access because the SU website's so big and such a mess.
Yeah. You've got quite huge plans. What made you want to go for the role in the first place?
So I've seen the great work that the current officer team do. I've been lucky enough to work quite closely with Anna, the Sustainability and Development Officer, for example. And it's just the inspiration to try and like help students similar to me do all these things that I've talked about already, to be able to help people out. I think that's the main sort of motivating factor. Another thing as well, I'm on a working committee, TSC, and there I'm like giving new skills to people, helping them get involved in something they've not done before. I think that's like the most important part of the university experience, trying things that they've not done before. So to be activities officer and get people involved in those sorts of things is really important to me.
Well, we've heard quite a lot from you now, but how are you coming along with your coat of arms? Could you show that to the camera?
So I've managed to do the best SU food is of course the sausage roll from Baked. As much as I love food from Bar One, when we volunteer with TSC we get that, so I've eaten far too much of it. So yeah, sausage roll from Baked is my favourite. I've done one campaign symbol, it's the little happy little hill. My surname's Hill, so my campaign slogan is Be Happy with Hill. So hopefully you'll spot this guy on a lot of my posters.
Mhm.
And then my favourite hobby, as I've mentioned, is being part of TSC. We do all the tech down in Foundry, so I've drawn some of the lights.
Mhm.
I've not added any colour yet, so it's not the most effective drawing.
We
but
get the idea.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for that. Now, if you had only 3 words to get someone to leave their vote with you, what would you say to them?
I think I'd describe my campaign as welcoming. I want everyone to get involved. Fun. Again, I've said be happy with Hill. It's going to be fun. And the final thing is probably 3 words. It's difficult. Welcoming, fun, and inclusive. It's for everyone.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for that. Thanks for chatting to us, and good luck with your campaign.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, we've got another candidate for the SU Office of Elections in 2026. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Eli, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm running for Liberation Activities Officer.
So, Eli, what's the single most important experience that made you want to go for Liberations activities?
I think just getting involved with various elements of SU politics. I'm on SU Council at the moment, I'm an academic rep, and just speaking to students across those spaces, as well as in different society spaces and other change-making spaces, just made me so passionate about all of the ideas that students have and wanting to kind of bring those to life.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's quite minority groups in the uni now, and increasingly there's been sort of attacks, or there's been sort of, you know, forms of harassment. How would you counteract that as liberations and activities?
So importantly, one of the main things is education information. So having very clear stances as an SU, you know, in regards to tolerance, as well as in regards to like support for students. Something that's important for me is I want to set up wellbeing and advocacy sessions for marginalised groups, so that could form that kind of space. And then also just generally educating the general student body about what's going on in the world at the moment and what they can do, how they can initiate change, and things like that, and just making sure that our students know that we're here for them and that we're never going to stop supporting them.
Mm-hmm. And going along that, you've got brilliant ideas to counteract that, but what are the barriers that you think people are facing most when they're approaching the SU?
So I think a big one is obviously it's a cost of living crisis at the moment, so a lot of people are very worried about money, and so that's always going to be a big thing that will impact a lot of people. Then there's also issues with accessibility, and sometimes that is in terms of not knowing what to expect. Sometimes that's in terms of buildings. Some buildings, you know, don't have the best step-free access. It takes a long time to get into buildings if you can't use the steps. And also on kind of a slightly different level, the issue of communication. It feels like there isn't enough adequate forms of communication to students. Sometimes that's because they're very online forms of communication that not all students are going to be paying attention to or necessarily receive those platforms. So yeah, I think that's kind of got a visibility element to it as well.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about buildings and the accessibility to that, but I'm going to take a slightly different tone.
Yep.
If you were a uni building from Sheffield, which one would you be and why?
I think I'd be Western Bank Library.
Okay.
I think it's just kind of my vibes. I really like a good book. It's my favourite library because it's nice and it just feels cosy. And I like being around all the books and having the view of the park.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, like you mentioned, that sort of peacefulness, and then there's quite a lot of niche societies in the SU sort of providing that away from the big ones. How would you ensure that these societies get the funding they need to survive?
Yeah, so I think one of the kind of big things at the moment is societies not really being sure about like how finances work. I know that some societies have had issues where either members aren't really sure where their money's going to, or the committees themselves aren't sure how to track their finances through the SU systems. And so part of kind of tackling that is having a consistent framework, encouraging transparency, so that members can not only see where their money goes to in the society, but also be able to contribute and say this is where the money could go. And generally, if I do get elected, I'd love to have a look at the various financial structures that students have access to, because there are a lot of issues with accessing them in general, societies and just those students who need financial aid. So kind of, yeah, looking at the wider structure would be a big part of that, to make sure that that students know how they can access funding as a group or as an individual, and making sure that the ways to access that funding is accessible and possible.
Mm-hmm. And if you could look into the camera now, show us how far you've come along with your coat of arms in this one.
I so far have only done one. Yes, I'm not very good at multitasking. So far I've only put down best SU food, and I had to put down tater tots. I work in the SU shop, and my favourite part of the shifts when I'm working hot food is talking about the tater tots and whether they're crispy today or whether they're looking a bit anemic. It's a strange amount of memories to do with tater tots working in the SU outlets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And in 3 words, if you could tell the people why they should vote for you.
Communication, inspiration, and inclusion.
All right, well, thanks a lot for chatting to us, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you so much.
Right, welcome back to SU officer elections coming up next week. Now, we've got another candidate who's running. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ava Cesari, pronouns they, them, and I am running for Liberations and Activities Officer.
Now, Avis, a big part of the role is looking after the minority communities that, you know, they see themselves in the SU every other day, that see themselves making use of the resources here. How would you ensure that their interests are being represented well with the overall board?
Mm-hmm. So in terms of their interests, I would look at what's being done with our current officers. I've worked with them quite a bit this year through my role as a counsellor, through my role as a liberation facilitator, and just general being nosy and wanting kids to get involved in everything. Like, for example, Kia is getting involved in the International Culture Evening in March, which is going to be so beautiful. And I think prioritising those spaces where everyone can represent their culture, their creativity, should be prioritised and should be upheld. And also just keeping in mind of the context of what our students want, and how do I word it? Just, again, active listening. It's repetitive, but I really think it's key. Like, I'm currently volunteering in a charity, and I'm helping build their Youth Voice project. And we have regular meetings regarding with leadership and board trustees, something that is a part of this role as well. And it's active listening. It's listening to the people who you're representing. And I'm only been here for, just over a semester now. But there may be data here for this academic year, but I want to make sure that I'm keep on checking in on what is your new interest. You want to do something representing Palestinian or Iranian culture, through these harsh times. Let's put a spotlight on that. We want something for, disability, to show off different aids or how people can express their creativity uniquely, like, let's say, Paralympics. Let's give that a shot. I want to be so open because I am so passionate about an intersectional EDI perspective that I'm just like, I'm an open book, fill my pages, what should we do? Let's work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and away from like sort of communities, looking at societies now,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many of them, but there's like, the big ones and the smaller ones. How do you ensure that the more niche ones are being looked after, they're getting their funding, they're getting members?
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I did, and I studied applied social sciences, this is going to show my social data sort of things. Before I decided my university, I made a huge table on Word, listing out different factors of what to consider in university, like the cost of accommodation, the societies, the modules. Something that I would do, I would go online, I would find every society, and I would look at the spaces, the people, how to get the communications, the emails, and just contact them. Email, numbers, see what wants to be done. I'd also make connections, see if I can make big groups. One thing that I have done with Women's History Month coming up, I hope you enjoy it, I am really excited about everything coming together, is I've made several different email groups. I've sent a massive email to everyone in like a general thousands of respondents, but I've like grouped, all of these societies are themed around women, let's contact them. All these societies are connected to medical, and there's that theme, let's go, it's them. And thinking about like, if there's a themed month, if there's a themed week, if there's a special day, there's a society connecting to that, let's make sure they get their time. But honestly, there's so many different changes. Like I found out the other day that there was a new like circus society that wasn't around in first semester.
Wow.
I saw that at the Refreshers Fair, and I was like, how have I haven't heard of you? So I think keeping a regular eye out, because this SU is going to be humongous with the amount of societies that are currently joining. But yeah, just keeping aware of the environment, really.
Mm-hmm. And if you had, we've heard quite a lot about you and your campaign and what you're trying to do, but I hate to say this, but you've got limited 3 words to the viewers watching you right now. What would you say? What would you make sure that they vote for you? What's those 3 words?
It's going to be basic. It's going to be so broad. Intersectional, representative, and listening. As basic as it is, I'm really passionate about it. I think it's effective.
Well, thanks a lot for that. Thank you for chatting to us, and good luck on your campaign.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.